Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome to Millennium News 24/7. Today's America. This is Tofader from Millennium Studio in New York. Viewers, we have a special guest today, Dr. Lynn Parodneck, medical marijuana specialist. She is taking care hundreds of people in New York area. And we have our co-host Todd Goldfinger. He is the activist for mental health. Both guests, welcome to our network. Please introduce yourself, Dr. Lynn.
Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, I should say. My name is Lynn. I'm a medical doctor. I'm a graduate of New York Medical College, did my formal training in obstetrics and gynecology at NYU Bellevue, was in private practice for a number of years. In 2014, our former governor said sick people could work with medical cannabis, and in 2016, they opened the dispensaries in New York State. That's when I enrolled as a participating physician, and I've had a practice just doing medical marijuana with patients since that time. It is truly an honor to be here, and it's truly a privilege to be able to do the medicine that I do.
Very good.
And thank you.
Most welcome. Mr. Todd, please introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you. My name is Todd David Goldfinger. I'm a mental health activist, survivor, and psychedelics and marijuana helped save my life. So here's a testimonial. And basically, I wanted to ask Dr. Lynn about how can cannabis be used to treat depression, PTSD, OCD, and how can it help the vets?
Okay, well, the vets, we could start with them. Many vets started using marijuana and different substances in Vietnam, came home and found themselves traumatized, and really this is the only way they can function. Many of them suffer from PTSD, they suffer from physical injuries besides psychiatric issues. So the vets, man, this really helps them move forward and live a healthy life. Cannabis is really, really helpful for PTSD. Patients kind of feel this zhuzh coming on, these really negative emotions that they know are going to bring them to a horrible place. Once they feel that little zhuzh, if they work with the cannabis, they're able to really intercept it and stop that really, really severe decline. It's a matter of working with both THC and CBD. PTSD patients usually do well with THC products. OCD, anxiety, depression tends to be CBD oriented, but really depends on the person and what their issues are. Classically, we say CBD is helpful for anxiety and depression. We also are now working with the new minor cannabinoid, CBG, which is found to have antidepressant properties as well. So cannabis has really given us an arsenal to work with psychiatric issues. And my hope is that psychiatrists will start to understand this is a choice. Patients can work with cannabis instead of pharmaceuticals. And many patients are coming up with the idea they would like to stop using their long-term psych meds, switch over to cannabis, and it's possible to do so.
Very good. Doctor, in America, our federal government, why is not authorized still? What is the issue?
The issue is a non-issue. The problem is cannabis is considered a class 1 substance. So it was decided during the Nixon administration that this is a toxic material for people. It's considered a class 1 substance, which says it has no medical benefit. This is old school. We have proven through research people can really benefit from this. So now it becomes up to Washington, D.C. to change it from a class 1 substance to something that can be used in research and open access. There's a lot of work. I participated on a white paper that was presented in June 2021 in DC. The objective was cannabis as medicine. It was written under the auspices of NCIA, and hopefully that will stir things up a little bit. But the basic problem is the classification of the drug as having no medical efficacy means it's very difficult to do research.
So is happening politics, Congress, Senate, White House, and they are combined making this kind of issue. You know, they have to stop getting money from lobbyists, big pharmaceutical company. Otherwise, our country is not going to be okay. So many lobbyists in Washington, D.C. Every Congress, every Senate, also White House. They are not talking American people. They are talking their own self. When are we going to be stop these things? Do you have any idea, doctor?
I have no idea. I hope soon. I was hoping that the shift with the Biden administration would allow for legalities. However, Chuck Schumer is really pushing for legalization. There are also bills pending for safe banking so that cannabis businesses can have regular bank accounts. At the present time, they're not allowed to have a bank account in FDIC auspices. Cannabis businesses are not allowed to rent from buildings that have federal mortgages. FDIC-backed mortgages are not permitted, so it's either credit union or straight out ownership. So there's so many complications with this that make it tough to run as a real business and tough to treat patients as well. Many states, this is still illegal.
Yes, you know, big pharmaceutical company, they are making this issue. Problem is they are selling and they are killing our brother and sister, fentanyl, so many illegal drug they making. That's why they are not probably is authorized to legalize, you know.
Well, they're authorized, but the problem is if they don't quite understand if they legalized cannabis, we would have safe products. One of the big pushes for legalization is having clean products. When you work with a market that's regulated, you're guaranteed no pesticide, no molds, no fentanyl in your weed. In 2021, there were a number of deaths from children using weed laced with fentanyl. I don't think children should be smoking cannabis. The brain is still forming until 25, but these kids shouldn't die because they're smoking cannabis. In Somers, New York, there was a death last year on Valentine's Day. A 17-year-old boy died from weed laced with fentanyl. Now, this is a town that's decided they don't want a dispensary. They feel that if pot is available, people will die. They don't understand this is regulated cannabis that's clean and cannot hurt anybody. So the first thing is education. People really need to understand what these programs are about, that patients have the rights in states that this has been declared okay, that patients can really work with cannabis to help them. So we really need education on every level possible. You know, we're talking now about psych issues. I got a really interesting phone call about a month ago. A young man who was under observation at Bellevue. He was he was admitted for cocaine toxicity, had an extensive psych history, and he wanted to get a medical marijuana card. Just giving him a card, I can't do because I have never met this person. I have no clue what's true, what's reality. But basically, I offered him, if his medical team at Bellevue would let him use cannabis, I would be happy to do his paperwork for him for no charge. I had asked to speak with his medical team. Nobody called me back.
See, this is another politics. So many states, like Washington State, Rhode Island, and Maine, so many people die this fentanyl. But medical marijuana saved the life, not killed the life. Why our state governors, mayors, and federal government, they are making this kind of politics, they don't want to authorize. What we have to do as a public, as a voter, what is our job?
Our job is to get educated, understand cannabis, how it works as medicine. Then our job is to tell our politicians, look, we think this is important. We would like you to get on board with this and put a little pressure on the politicians. It's important for us all to understand how this works, and then we can make a statement and have an educated statement. And I think if people really understood what's behind all this, there would be an aha moment and they would want to become involved. Just like Todd, he can explain to you, he had an epiphany, right, Todd?
Right, in my late 30s it was.
Can you tell us about it?
Sure. I was married for maybe 9 years. I was in Germany in a small town, and I had a very good job teaching English and playing in German heavy metal bands. Anyway, the point of the story is, it was a great life. It was a very stable life, and then I started to smoke cannabis a little bit on the side. My wife didn't like it. Stepson was about 17 at the time, and I didn't want to be smoking around him yet. But anyway, the point is, it changed my life. Now, some people would say, well, I completely threw my life away and got into drugs and psychedelics and things like that. Well, I became free, and now I'm building myself up. It took a couple years, but I'm living proof that recovery is possible even with entheogenic medicines and these kinds of plant medicines, for example. So thank you.
Dr. Lynn, can I ask you something else? This is private. Like myself, I have a benign brain tumor. They did, doctor and NYU, they did 2 times gamma knife surgery, but still is not clear. I am taking so many medication, pain medication. Sometimes I get upset myself, So if I can take this kind of medicine, or medical marijuana or something else for painkiller?
Yes, you can work with cannabis for pain management. Cannabis has many functions, and now it's actually being used for post-op pain management as well. Traditionally in New York State, chronic pain was pain lasting 13 weeks or longer, and that was a qualifying condition. Now in New York, the program has really opened up, and physicians at their discretion can offer cannabis to patients, not physically, but they can do the paperwork that will enable patients to get cannabis products to work with. And pain management is one of the hot topics with cannabis now.
Very good. Todd, Floor is yours.
Okay, so question for Dr. Lynn. What can we do to end the stigma?
Ooh, big question. We can get educated. Second of all, go out there and speak. Tell people what this is about. When you go out to dinner with your friends, ask them, what do you think about cannabis, medical, recreational, and listen to what they say and read between the lines. If they're coming across as like, oh, this is just a horrible thing, you need to just find out why for them this is so horrible. When I first started working, I just heard so many stereotypes and stigma issues with cannabis. I had a 92-year-old former Marine who used to bust people for cannabis, who came to me for pain management. Trust me, this was not his idea, it was his son's. And he was just I don't think it's gonna work. This is drugs. I don't know why I'm here. Guess what he uses for pain management now? He's able to dump his oxy, likes a nice little hit of vape in the evening, and that's it. And he sleeps, he's comfortable, and life is much better.
Sounds great. Harm reduction. What can we do ourselves as individuals?
We can encourage people not to participate in the black market. Black market, there's absolutely no regulation. We don't know if there's pesticides in there, mold, what the contents actually is. We don't know what strain it is. We have no clue what's in there. So what we need to do is really band together and buy products that have been lab tested and we know are clean.
Okay. Great. Would you like to do more shows for the network? Because we'd love to have you on, I think, right now.
Sure.
Doctor,
You said,
go ahead. Go ahead, doctor.
why?
No.
Wait,
You like to say something? Go ahead.
oh, no. I was just answering Todd's question. He invited me back for more.
Yeah.
Most welcome. We are open for you always. Doctors,
Thank
please stay with us. We are going to short break. Viewers, we are going to short break. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Viewers, we are back again. Our break, and we have a special guest, Dr. Lynn Parodneck. She is a specialist medical marijuana. Viewers, our political leaders, Washington, Senate, Congress, White House, whatever they are, Democrat and Republican, they are not doing right things right time. Our brothers and sisters, every state and territory, people's young generation, middle age, older, so many people dying every day for illegal drug, fentanyl, some other black market. But some state right now legalize medical marijuana. So we have a doctor today, Dr. Lynn Parodneck. She is working New York area, New York State, upper northern Westchester. She is doing great job for our people. Hopefully, our government, Biden administration, do something for our citizens. So we're gonna ask our guest how federal government can stop illegal fentanyl and black market, number one. Number two, so many states still they thinking this is crime, big crime, and people's going jail. How we can help the state authority to stop these things? Doctor?
We need to address our politicians and express our opinions. Looking at the American public, the majority are going for recreational marijuana. They endorse the idea that it be available and generate tax income, so it would bring more money into the government coffers. There's so many issues. I personally do a lot of public speaking. I speak at libraries, children's clubs, I do NPR radio, I do monthly segments for Legal Gazette, and now I speak for NCIA, that's the National Cannabis Association. It's a business group about cannabis and also a strong advocacy. So NCIA really pushes for legalization and expungement of criminal records for cannabis. I participated on a white paper with them. Cannabis is medicine. It was released in 2021. If you want to read it, just Google NCIA, cannabis is medicine, it will come up. What this paper does is about 20 pages and explains how cannabis actually works as medicine. It was written to be distributed in Washington, D.C. for politicians to read, to reconsider what the laws are, and to maybe legalize. It seems that there is some traction now in D.C. Chuck Schumer has introduced a bill to legalize cannabis. There are laws now being introduced to have interstate commerce, meaning that when states are legal and then there's
Excuse me, doctor. Yeah, your sound have a noise. I don't know why. Could you check?
It's just my computer is on, there's no background noise, I don't know what it could be.
Probably.
We could figure it out later, but one option is the earbuds also can help that from echoing.
Oh, okay. Very good. Go ahead, doctor.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm explaining a little bit about NCIA and their role, and now I'm speaking for NCIA. So I was in Detroit in September, San Francisco in December, and I'll be back in San Francisco in July. So when I was in Detroit, I was asked to moderate a panel on the intersection of science and business in the cannabis space. We started off with a really empty room, and then friends started texting their friends that, like, this is interesting, something good was going on. So the room filled. Cannabis is legal in Michigan. So my assumption was, oh, they wanted to fill the room and like make it look better, so they're giving away cartridges at the end. More and more people kept coming in the room, standing room only, so it had been price of admission. If you showed up, you got 2 parts. Finally, at the end of the talk, the woman put up a number 5, meaning 5 minutes. We did some Q&A. It was over, and she asked me, could I do this in San Francisco in the winter? I'm like, okay. And there were no cards to be given away. So fast forward, San Francisco, I moderated the panel on intersection of science and cannabis in the business space, and also did a 3-hour workshop. NCIA wants to get more medicine involved. So I was allowed to do whatever I wanted, which was very amazing. So I brought two patients with me who had former opioid problems. The 26-year-old young man who came to me on Suboxone. He'd been a heroin addict, and his Suboxone team told him there was no way he could stop Suboxone with only the use of cannabis. That was ridiculous. But he wanted to get off Suboxone. He really hated the side effects, the weight gain, the way he felt. He was just unhappy. So gradually, his team reduced the Suboxone. I dosed the cannabis for him, met with his family, and the final piece of the puzzle was, he was terminated the Suboxone, introduced cannabis, and the family was involved. My feeling was, make this not a taboo, let him have as much cannabis as he wants, let him go wild with it. It was okay. So I had his mother making edibles, and also he had permission to vape in the house, use cannabis in the house. And his siblings could not harass him. In their minds, cannabis was a gateway drug. So by having him work with cannabis, no longer taboo, have as much as you want, it doesn't matter. He doesn't care about cannabis anymore. He doesn't smoke. He actually does care about cannabis. I stand corrected. He wants to work with cannabis, help people work with cannabis, to understand that you can use this as an exit strategy. It is no longer considered a gateway drug. Work with cannabis to get off Suboxone. There is no reason you need to be on drugs the rest of your life. Just because you started on this doesn't mean you need to stay there. And you can also question people who are saying cannabis has no role. Find people who are willing to work with you. So he gave his talk, spoke about his experiences, and the room was overwhelmed because he did what they call the impossible dream. I also brought a 32-year-old young man who grew up in Westchester, New York. Both parents were MDs, both were drug addicts. His father lost his medical license, mom committed suicide. He got into opioids, now only works with cannabis for his PTSD, and is working on his PhD in rehab sciences at Penn State. So he discussed his story, as well as was able to incorporate some of the treatment modalities he studied, uses to work with in his training program. And that was pretty amazing, because this guy is going to go out there and work with patients and suggest cannabis. So that's really the next step. People having understanding that this works, people getting the proper training to be able to explain to people who are interested, and moving forward. Several universities are now offering program in cannabis studies. So this is really catching on at a national level. And education is such a key factor.
Can
Yes.
I ask you something else? Without smoke, there are any way people can use this?
Absolutely. Besides smoking bud, you can vaporize bud. If you prefer not to, there are the vape pens. Vape pens have no odor, so they're nice and discreet. There are gel caps, there are tinctures, there are squeeze drops that you put in water, there are edibles, there are like Listerine type strips that people can work with. There are all kinds of things in development at this time. So you don't have to smoke to work with cannabis. You don't have to expose your lungs. Many people just assume pot, okay, lungs. But no, with COVID, I am encouraging patients to vaporize bud. Do not smoke. When you vaporize, you're heating the cannabis up to a point that the vapor, the gas comes off, but you're not burning it, so you're not hurting your lungs. So that's one accommodation. But if people are just still uncomfortable, there are many other forms to consider.
I see. Todd, floor is yours.
Yes. Do they have topical solutions for THC and CBD nowadays that you can, like oils and things like that?
Yes, but the topical solutions only work superficially. So if you have pain that's superficial, it'll be addressed. If not, no. And when you work with topicals, the nice thing is they don't go to your head. There's no systemic absorption. So you can drive, you can do whatever you do, and if your pain responds, man, it is wonderful. I have several seniors who all they need are these topical creams to feel better, and they have thrown away a lot of their polypharmacy. A major problem in this country now is polypharmacy. I have several seniors who come in with these massive plastic containers with pills and pills and pills for the day. Gradually, I'm able to work with them, eliminate some if possible, work with their physicians. We can dump a number of things that cannabis can take the place for. So cannabis really has a lot of positives to it if people will open their eyes and their ears, listen and see what it can do for people.
Very
And
good.
open their minds
Yes.
a little bit.
You
Open
know,
their minds a little bit.
yes. Consider. Just consider.
Consider.
Yes. That's what we need.
To be considered.
Yes. But it
Doc-
is also not for everybody. There are people who are in sober living who consider cannabis inappropriate. There are other mentors in AA who feel that cannabis is a great exit strategy. So even within the rehab community, there's a lot of dissent. So I think what it really gets down to and back to is education. People need to examine it, look at it, and think it through. Get rid of all that stigma, get rid of that association with gateway drug, get rid of all that skanky attitude, and we got something here. Something positive.
Can I asking other question? If
Of course.
if our viewers, some people try to contact with you regarding this, what they need, Medicaid,
Okay.
insurance, or
No.
medical record,
No.
or something else.
Okay, this program is considered federally illegal. Patients and states have the right to do it, the rights are guaranteed. No patient is going to be arrested. So because the program is federally illegal, Medicare and Medicaid has nothing to do with this. It's kind of a good excuse, they don't have to pay for it. So patients really need, it's an out-of-pocket experience. Certain insurances will cover the consults. Most are not interested. And remember, insurance companies don't want to pay bills. If they can keep the money, they would prefer to. So this tends to be an out-of-pocket experience. There are groups now getting together doing cannabis insurance. There's a woman, Sharon Lee, who has a whole program going on. So it's part of future progress, but now patients pay out of pocket for this program. Prices vary really depending on which state they're in.
I see. So our ex-governor, Andrew Cuomo, he normalized, medical marijuana. But
He approved it,
exactly.
Among other things.
but
Also,
he was not thrown in for recreational. He approved it due to the pressures that were exerted. He has come out and said he's more of a beer guy personally. He's not for cannabis, but there was enough pressure on him that this is what he had to do. Now, Governor Hochul is into the program. She understands the benefits. She understands the virtues of giving people who have been affected by the Rockefeller laws a second chance. She understands the benefit of expunging records and normalizing what is out there. And she has really rolled her sleeves up and is making this a priority.
but I saw 2020s, city of New York, every block they have a store for this. But after few weeks, every store is closed. New York City.
Well, these are pop shops. They're not legally licensed. We don't know if they're selling clean products. Now, what's going on in New York is cannabis is legal. But what they're trying to do is implement a program that people can apply for dispensaries, for cultivation, for processing, distribution, micro businesses, farm co-ops. There are a few more, and people can apply to get licenses to do these things, to have clean, safe products, a market that's regulated, and try to undermine the black market. As long as the black market's in competition, it's a tough call. But I believe with time, people will switch. It's not going to be overnight, but once they realize they're guaranteed clean products, a product that they can purchase again, not just a one-time shot, it's regulated, they get very interested, especially seniors. Seniors have a lot of stigma with this. You can't send them to a drug dealer. So once rec is up and running, I think you'll also have a lot more people interested and sampling, where otherwise the medical just seems like too much for them to handle. And it's interesting, medical patients are interested more in a recreational environment to purchase their cannabis. They prefer to go in and feel like a regular person than a patient. So there are a lot of fine points that are going to be worked out, and a lot for us all to learn also. The patient's view, customer view. What are they looking for? What do they want? And that's what we have to be attentive to.
Very good. So the patient need any medical record to you can see or not?
It's better if a patient comes with a medical record. The physicians have the right to decide to certify a patient or not in New York. If patients have records, I always suggest bring them. The doctor may not need a lot of time to look through them, but it's also a safety guard for a physician that the patient is legitimate. When I first started, I used to get a lot of calls from men, "Hey babe, how much is it for a card?" My answer was, I don't sell cards. I do consults. I work with patients. They need cards to get their cannabis. They need the paperwork. I can provide that, but that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to provide guidance, get them their paperwork, and help them proceed in a positive way with the program, not just print out paperwork. That any monkey can do. My job is to help teach them what this is about, instruct them, guide them, and be there. And most patients don't call me very much. They're fine with the education I've given them. I also give them a lot of reading. If they have a question, they will call because they feel they have backup. And that's really important. I get more calls for, I misplaced my paperwork, can you send me a copy? Can't find it, that kind of stuff. And patients really like the security to know that there's somebody there if they get into trouble. I've had a few calls from patients who were too stoned. I had told them during the interviews, my consult, what to do if they get too much and want to come back to planet Earth. Being altered, they're not remembering, but they remember I told them what to do. So they'll call me and say, "Lynn, it's just too much. What can I do to get out of this?"
Right. That's a great question. What can you do?
Okay, hydration. CBD is a great antidote. We're talking about antidotes to too much THC.
For altered states, unwanted at the moment.
Too much. It's a matter. My job is to make people comfortable, not send them to the moon. So if they reach that moon state and do not like it, I get these calls. So the best way to work with that, to get them back to planet Earth, is hydration, hot shower. They can then work with either lemon juice, or bite into one black peppercorn, or eat pine nuts. All of those items will bring you back to planet Earth. So having an antidote makes people happy because they know they're never going to be stuck. It's not a problem. Now with CBD, we don't really see many problems. Too much CBD, people get a little sleepy, a little stomach problems. So that is a little one, and with time, within the day, stomach is good. They're waking up and they're realizing they did too much. And especially now, there's CBD gummies. And people like the way they taste. So I'm getting calls about people with stomach aches now. And I'm like, okay, how much did you use? Well, I know you told me just do one, but they tasted really good. So I kind of ate the bag and okay, let's go back to the proper dose. It's not really candy. This is actually your medicine.
Doctor, please stay with us. Viewers, we are going to short break. Please stay with us.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Submit your own content to 1530entertainmentllc@gmail.com. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Viewers, we are back again. Today's America and Millennium News 24/7. We have a special guest today, Lynn Parodneck, specialist medical marijuana. She helping hundreds of people mental health issues. So she gonna talk about these things, our viewers. Mr. Todd, floor is yours.
Sure. So I think chronic pain, physical and mental, how can cannabis treat?
Okay, cannabis is pretty amazing. Chronic pain, 80% of New York patients are in the program with chronic pain. Chronic pain means 13 weeks or more of pain. Pain can be anything from broken bone to fibromyalgia, headaches, IBS. It's just anything that distresses us. Now, when we are distressed and under that kind of pressure and in pain, we're uncomfortable, we're stressed, we don't sleep, we don't function well. Our appetites get messed up. Some people eat a lot, some people have absolutely no appetite. So basically, our endocannabinoid system is dysregulated. We have receptors in our bodies, CB1 or neurologic, CB2, bones, GI system, other places in neurologic. And these receptors in our body work with cannabis. In our own body, we have amentamide. That's considered the bliss molecule. It's a neurotransmitter. And cannabinoids work in the receptors, and we get that bliss kind of feel. Now, cannabis is really helpful for chronic pain, reducing pain. It's not going to eliminate it, but it'll make patients more comfortable and able to manage. Cannabis is also used in hospice care now. Patients with cancer have much easier times. Death becomes simpler. Patients can communicate. They're not completely locked out. People can have those final conversations by working with cannabis. Instead of just seeing their loved one kind of peter off and die, they can get down to their final goodbyes and have those moments. As far as anxiety and depression, OCD, cannabis can be very helpful for psychiatric issues. The only thing we really need to keep addressed to is schizophrenia. We really don't know, is there a propensity for cannabis to trigger schizophrenia? So in theory, we're not supposed to take care of patients who have the diagnosis of schizophrenia are not supposed to be in the program. Patients who have a relative that's 1 degree away are not supposed to. So if a mother has a child with schizophrenia, in theory, they shouldn't be doing the program. If someone has a sibling, they're not supposed to be doing the program. However, I've had patients come to me who work with cannabis who want to go legal. I have a woman who has twins. One has bipolar disease, one has schizophrenia. The only way she stays sane is by taking her 420, meaning she uses cannabis in the evening to chill out, relax, end of day, get her stuff together, get restored, be able to sleep, and have a positive day. Before her days of cannabis, she used to be in therapy, had to see her therapist at least weekly. She was on several antidepressants and still miserable. So for her, the cannabis really, really helped. I have several patients with ADD. They work with sativa strains. They find it remarkable. OCD. What it can do is really diminish symptoms. And that can be very, very helpful. I have certain patients who are no longer needing their psych meds, but their therapists are, well, you have signed up for this. I think you would do better with it. I don't really discontinue meds. Once we start, it's a mission to continue. And I have been working with a few patients, decreasing the doses of their psych meds. They no longer want to go to their psychiatrist, they refuse. I prefer the psychiatrist does the titration down. That's their thing, those are their meds. I will sub in cannabis. So we're working with one woman in particular is coming off Seroquel and Lamictal. I'm decreasing her doses 10% each month. She's working with CBD and a little THC in the evening, and the CBD allows her to be okay. It helps her with her anxiety. She also knows if she gets very charged, she should work with her THC stuff. So everybody is very, very different. And it's a matter of working with the substances that work with each individual. And that's why I suggest if people are starting and really want to do it correctly, work with the doctor who knows what they're talking about, learn how to do your program, and then later when rec comes in, you can shop at a recreational dispensary. But at least now, get your education, buy your clean products, continue to work with clean products. Also, many patients work with CBD for anxiety and depression. People who, it's a question, should they be on meds? Instead of just starting psych meds, they try CBD and they try CBG. CBG is considered the mother cannabinoid. From CBG, we get CBD and THC, which are called the major cannabinoids. CBG has known to be an antidepressant as well. So that's something being added to the armamentarium recently. New York State basically is THC and CBD, and there are minor cannabinoids available other places. And the minor cannabinoids can be sent in the mail. So there's a lot that can be done with them as well. There's THCV, which is known to decrease appetite, take care, help you really sit down and focus. There's CBN, which is amazing for sleep. There's also CBC, which is helpful for skin, nails, development. There's a lot of nice things out there, and there's a lot more that will be integrated into the New York State programs.
Doctor, one thing I like to know, how many doctors we have in New York State? They prescribe medication for medical marijuana. Do you have any idea?
I don't really know, but there are a few ways that physicians do this. Physicians only really have to, you don't have to know too much. You can just write paperwork. There are physicians that confirm the diagnosis, print out paperwork, and say, go to the dispensary, they'll tell you what to buy. To me, that's not practicing medicine, that's pushing paper. Then there are some clinicians who work within their specialty. So you have neurologists who can write for this, who will suggest it to their patients, and then the patients can then go to the dispensary to figure out how this works. So certain physicians, specialists are doing this as well. And then there's a group of people who all they're doing is cannabis. This is the group I fall under. I'm not doing OBGYN anymore. All I'm doing is cannabis medicine. So I also get to see patients from all walks of life, all ages, My patients range 3 to 100. And also by working with a full range of patients, I've learned to understand how this stuff works in a better way. I also have encouraged patients to experiment, try different combinations, figure out what works for you. And some of the things that they figured out, I've incorporated into my practice. So I don't know the answer to the question asked, but I know other things. I'm sorry.
I have a question for you, Dr. Lynn.
Yes.
I'd like to ask you now, as a person myself, I was diagnosed as schizoaffective. Now that's not schizophrenia. I don't hear voices, but synesthesia certainly occurs in my life. So, is marijuana okay for people with bipolar and schizoaffective disorder?
It's okay for bipolar. Schizoaffective, if I was going by the book.
By the book, yeah. Let's hear by the book.
Okay, by the book, bipolar okay, schizoaffective no. In bipolar disease, it can be really, really helpful. Cannabis is very relaxing, specific strains. So when you look at cannabis, it's broken down. We're looking at the stronger THC. And people don't realize it's not only to put you to sleep. There's sativa strains. Sativa strains are stimulating. They have pinene in them. Pinene makes us want to do stuff. It makes us want to go out, not sit at home. So we have
clean the room, work,
clean the house, vacuum, and Hoover. So we have like sour diesel. There are a lot of strains that are sativas, and they make us a little bit energetic and want to do stuff. So it's not all in the couch. The indica strains tend to be in the couch, chill out, relax. So there's actually cannabis for all parts of the day. There are also hybrids, which are combinations. And patients tend to like hybrids because it's relaxing, and they also work with different strains during different parts of the day. I encourage patients to work with more than one strain. We'll get much more out of the plant. And also variety. People like variety. If it's always the same, you kind of get used to it, and it's just not quite doing the job. So I suggest have a few things around that fit your mood. Don't just work with one because you're going to burn out.
That's true.
And these are actually things that we can use to work on ourselves.
Absolutely. Cannabis, too much is considered a hallucinogen, but they're a way to really turn in and think about things and work with ourselves and understand what we're doing and why, and to try to make changes and move forward in a positive.
Thank you. Doctor, last administration, Trump administration, Donald Trump, he makes some noise with Utah, Maine, Rhode Island, Washington State. So many people die with opioid. He tried to legalize these things, medical marijuana, but he did anything? Just make the noise?
He made noise. He was not into federal legalization. He's Republican. He felt this was a gateway drug. There was no way in the world he was going to approve this at all.
Like Nixon.
And also, his colleagues, the Republicans in general, are not pro-cannabis. They feel it's a drug. Yes, it is a drug, but it has valuable uses, and that's something that he just didn't want to.
In the world, in the European countries like Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, they are legalized these things. They don't have any problem. Everything is open over there. But our government, they don't see anything.
Our government doesn't quite get it. They're starting to. For example, Oregon has decriminalized hallucinogens. That's a big step forward.
Psychedelics.
There's so much going on with plant medicine in this country. People are craving it. There are shamans. There's a lot of underground activity. There's also research being done. MDMA for veterans with PTSD. Amazing results. So really, plant medicine is now being looked at, it's not being laughed at, and people are taking it seriously, and that's a huge step forward.
One time I traveling Netherlands with my family, 90s. When I come back in JFK airport with my little baby, my daughter, her age is 3 years, and we have a luggage in JFK. We are American citizen. They are looking so many things. Finally, they asked me, why you are traveling over there? I said, just for fun. So you didn't bring anything? I said, what are you going to bring? I don't understood though. Finally, they told me, you know, if someone visiting Netherlands, they bring so many things, drug, cigar, so many things. But we didn't see you bring anything. So you are like hopeless for us. So, so finally I laugh. I say, I don't know, I never smoke, man. I don't know what is this. And they are laughing. This 90s. Go ahead.
Things changed. It's a little better, but the European countries are generally a little bit more open. Germany is doing great research on cannabis.
That's
so
true.
There's a lot going on in Europe. Well, internationally, there's a lot going on. Markets are opening up, legalization. Mexico is going to be legalized. There's a lot going on internationally. And I hope the United States becomes involved. People are saying that we will be able to export cannabis internationally before it is nationally legal. How crazy is that?
Charity begins in the home.
Our politician, if they are family, someone die with fentanyl, that time they're going to be understood. They are citizen or they're part of family member. Republican, they never understood. They never going to become with this board. I don't think so.
Well, but I hope. I always say if family or a friend gets sick and you don't know too much about cannabis, and even if you're negative, if it happens to you or someone you know, you get interested and things change. Once you're willing to open your eyes and see what this plant medicine can do for somebody you love or yourself, it gets a lot more interesting and open. When people are just thinking about generalities, oh, it's bad, this is illegal, gateway drug. It is no longer considered a gateway drug. So there's so much education we need to give people. And I guess you're right, the Republicans need to learn, because if they open their eyes, they can see what this medicine can do for their constituents.
Very good. Doctor, our time almost end for today. Please tell something, last word for our viewers.
Guys, even if you know nothing about this, start learning. Look, talk to your family. Find out from your kids, like, hey, what's going on with cannabis amongst you and your friends? Have these open conversations. That will lead to change. Speak to your kids, speak to your grandparents. If they're sick, tell them, cannabis may not be a bad option. I take care of many families. I have 3 generations who come see me. What happens is they come, the grandchild will suggest grandma work with pot. Their parent, meaning the sandwich generation, comes in, grandma's feeling better. Well, her children have problems. They decide, work for mom, how about me? And then meanwhile, the grandchildren are sitting on the periphery cracking up because, hey, they told them a long time ago, try my joint. It may help you.
Very good.
Now everyone's having a great time.
Yes. And also, there's a big trend to families smoking together. People have wine at dinner. Why not have a little postprandial relaxation?
Much better than alcohol.
That's true.
Yes, you can overdose from cannabis. You'd have to smoke 20,000 joints in 20 minutes, which is physically impossible. And you can't burn out any organs. This does not harm your stomach. It does not harm your liver. It doesn't burn out your kidneys. The safety profile on this medication is incredible. You don't have receptors in the parts of your brain that govern respiration and breathing. Meaning you can't stop breathing from this stuff like you do from opioids. So you really, the worst thing that happens when you do way too much is you're going to take a nap. That's it.
Very
Yeah,
good.
do it
Thank
at
you.
home. Do it at home. Don't drive. Do it at home, right?
Todd,
Absolutely.
Right?
Todd.
Please don't try.
Todd,
Right.
last word.
Yes.
Last word, please.
Okay, I wrote this down. I said, don't be rigid. Don't be miserable. Enjoy your day. Have a good life.
Thank you very much. Viewers, our
Thank
time.
you for having me.
Thank you. Viewers, our time is end for today. Please watch our Millennium News 24/7 and Today's America. We are in all iOS and Android device, also all smart TVs like a Sony, LG, Samsung, also Roku TV, Apple TV, also Amazon TV. We are on Amazon Stick and Roku Stick too. Viewers, other network is jagobidi.com, Jadu TV and Radiant IPTV. We are globally on satellite, Horizon satellite. Viewers, our Millennium News 24/7 social network is Millennium News 24/7. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube channel, news channel M24. Our website, millenniumnews247.com. Also, millenniumtv24.com. Our email address, info@millenniumtv24.com. Viewers, our colleague and friends working for round the clock for you. News, views, talk show, entertainment, etc. Please watch Millennium News 24/7 and we are grateful to our colleague and friends. Whatever you are, please stay peace, love and happiness. Goodbye and take care for today.
Thank you.